My beloved child, listen closely to this breath of heaven. A movement is approaching, not loud, not announced, but so deep and real that even the earth trembles as it passes. I tell you, this is no ordinary season. This is the time when the heavens open, and your soul is invited into a new covenant between me and all who belong to the light. Be awake. My child, if you look only with your eyes, you will think everything is falling apart. But if you see with your spirit, you will recognize that I am rearranging what was broken to restore what was lost. I am renewing you not through what you possess, but through the very breath within you. There are angels moving around you. They carry no flags, no swords, only oil and fire. Oil to anoint the dry places, and fire to purify what you have forgotten. You will notice people stepping out of your circle not because they are wrong, but because their role is complete, and you will see others appear, as though they had been waiting for you all along. Every connection in this season is being refined by heaven, so that no drop of your energy is wasted on what no longer carries my anointing. My child, I know the changes frighten you. You have wondered, why must everything shift? But I tell you, nothing is lost, only realigned. You have lived too long within bonds you mistook for blessings, though the wind had long stopped blowing there. I'm setting you apart, not to make you lonely, but to make you pure for purpose. There are invisible cords that have drained your strength, and I am cutting them now, not with knives, but with light. When light touches, darkness does not fight, it simply disappears. I know, you ask. How will I know it is you? You will know because peace remains. My voice does not shout or push, it touches, and hearts grow soft. When you sense calm in the midst of shifting winds, that is my mark. When all around you moves, but within you a still river flows, that is my covenant holding you. I am renewing your sight, your senses, your hearing. You will begin to notice small signs, a chance encounter, a dream, an unshakable stirring with no explanation. Do not dismiss them. They are the messengers I send to guide you. You are stepping into a realm where every act carries sacred weight. Each word you speak, each thought you form, each step you take creates movement in the unseen. That is why I call you to awareness. Do not live by old patterns. Live as one who keeps oil through the midnight hour. This is not the time to understand, it is the time to yield. For renewal does not come through comprehension, but through surrender. When you stop clinging to the old shape, I can breathe new form into you. Do not fear, the unraveling within it is the sign of creation beginning. As the seed must break before it grows, so must you crack open to release what is buried in your spirit. Do not stare at the breaking. Fix your gaze on the birth taking place inside you. You will feel a stirring, gentle yet strong, like an unfamiliar rhythm in your heart. That is me calling, not calling you out, but in back to the center of my presence, where there is no need to prove, no need to strive, only to be. When you dwell in that center, no storm can tilt you. Your roots are deep in me, and no power on earth can uproot them. I am upgrading your spirit for a season of revival, not a revival outside, but within the parts of you that were neglected, parched, silenced by wounds. I am pouring oil there. When you weep, it is not weakness, it is oil flowing. When your heart grows tender, it is my touch. And when the things that once fit no longer do, it is the sign that you are growing in the Spirit. Do not worry about provision. Every source you need was prepared before you even knew to ask. Before your cry, I have heard. Before your step, I have gone ahead. You are not being abandoned in renewal, you are being lifted. Everything is aligning to serve the purpose I have written over you. And that purpose is not small. It is not just for you to survive, it is for you to become a living testimony of my power in a weary generation. You now stand at the threshold where old and new meet. The wind has shifted, open your eyes to see. Do not turn back to what I have closed. When I close, none can open. When I open, none can close. You need only step. Do not wait to feel ready. For readiness does not come from preparation, it comes from obedience. I ask only for a soft heart, so I may breathe. And when my breath moves through you, all that is old will rise and drift away like ash after a sacred fire. This great season of change is not punishment, it is invitation. It is my reminder that you were never meant to live unchanged. You were born to walk with me, and I do not stand still. When I move, you must move. When I call, you must hear. For in this divine transition, all that lacks life will fade, and the new light will flood in. Guard your heart in stillness, for I am about to speak through the wind, not in thunder, not in lightning, but in breath. When you sense that breath upon you in the silence, that will be the sign the new season has begun. And from that moment, everything within you will move to a new rhythm, the rhythm of covenant, of renewal, of love restored. My beloved child, I am calling you out of the mist of the old to step into the light where your true identity is restored. You are no longer a wanderer, lost among labels the world has placed on you. No longer bound by the names you once believed defined you. I come to break the chains of false titles and place upon you a new name, the name I have called you by since before the earth had form. You were not born to carry fear. You were born to carry power. You were not created to survive in the shadows. You were created to shine within them. I have engraved your name in the covenant of light, and darkness no longer holds claim over your life. It is time, my child, to reclaim the freedom I purchased with my own breath. Freedom is not doing as you please. It is returning to the truth of who you are. And that truth is not outside you, it is within. When you begin to see yourself as I see you, the chains of condemnation will fall away. You do not need to fight, you only need to see. For light does not strive for space, it simply shines. And darkness disappears. One spark of light is enough to dissolve 1,000 years of shadow. So it is when you look upon yourself through my eyes, every lie that once bound you melts like mist before dawn. You have forgotten who you are amid roles, expectations, and comparisons. But today I come to remind you, you are not the consequence of mistakes. You are the evidence of grace. You are not the remnant of the past. You are the testimony of resurrection. You are not condemned, you are commissioned. And when you know this, the wind within your soul will shift direction. You will walk not as one borrowing space, but as one entrusted with purpose, not human authority, but heavenly authority. The power to carry light into places where darkness hides. I am unlocking doors you thought sealed forever. Doors once closed by fear, shame, and self-doubt, I now declare open, and when I speak, no force can keep them shut. You will watch memories once heavy being washed clean. Dreams you buried will awaken as my breath passes over them. The things you thought were dead are merely sleeping, waiting for my voice to call them forth. Hear me now, O my child's soul. Live again. And as you hear, the embers within you will begin to glow, first as ash, then as flame, then as a blaze until your whole being burns with glory. I give you a new name, not to change what you are called, but to transform what you are destined for. This name carries a mission, a heavenly climate. When you call yourself by it, the heavens respond. It is not mere sound. It is a code of light. Your name is not written in ink, but in radiance. And that radiance carries authority. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard when you speak from your true identity. The darkness recognizes you and withdraws, for it knows the voice of one who is sent. My child, understand this. Your authority does not come from position but from presence. When you are in me, you no longer need to prove yourself. All things around you align. Where light abides, explanation is unnecessary. Falsehoods simply fade. This is the power of truth. Truth does not argue, it stands. And everything false trembles. I am placing within you the spirit of truth, not as knowledge, but as essence, so that you will not only know the light, but be the light. In this season, I am pulling you out of old systems, the ways you sought safety in opinions, in approval, in structure. I am shifting your foundation back to me. When your foundation is me, nothing external can shake you. You will no longer fear losing. You will only fear losing sight of the light. For where light dwells, freedom reigns. And true freedom is to live without pretending, no masks, no strain, no performance, simply you, the one I have loved, the one I have called, the one I am restoring. I see the fire in you rising. Do not fear its strength. It has not come to destroy but to release. It burns away invisible chains, subtle compromises, and sweet lies that once dulled your sight. When my fire comes, you may weep, for what was heavy will finally lift. But do not hold back those tears. They are cleansing water. They are the way I make you new from within. Now stand upright in the light. My child, let truth steady your heart. You are no longer one waiting to be chosen. You are one already sent. You no longer need permission to live as you were created to. You carry heaven's license to breathe, to shine, to love, to liberate. When you walk, the earth responds. When you speak, the air stirs. When you pray, angels move. For you are living in the authority of one commissioned. True freedom does not come when the world around you opens. It comes when you realize you owe nothing to darkness. You owe nothing to your past, nothing to fear, nothing to judgment. You belong to me alone, and to belong to me means to be freed from every verdict. You need not defend, prove, or seek approval, for I have already called you accepted. When heaven has sealed, earth cannot undo. Now, my child, whisper your name in silence. Listen as my voice echoes within your heart. That voice says, "You are mine." And when you hear it, your soul will know. From that moment on, you will live not to do, but to be. To be light, to be freedom, to be the living proof of heaven's truth. And when you walk forth in this renewed identity, everything old will bow before you. For power does not contend, it only needs to be recognized. And once you know, you are free. My beloved child, I am opening before you windows of heaven you have never known. From them, streams of blessing will pour down, not merely to give, but to teach you how to live in heaven's rhythm. For blessing is not only about receiving, it is about learning to hold and to flow. When heaven's windows open, light does not choose the perfect, it chooses the willing. For obedience is the key that unlocks the flow. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. Isaiah 1:19. My child, this is not a distant promise. It is the reality approaching your spirit as you yield fully. I am teaching you the sacred art of obedience, not bowing from fear, but opening from trust. You once thought obedience meant losing freedom, but I tell you, obedience is the summit of freedom, for it places you in the current of my will. When you cease striving to do things your own way, you begin to move within the strength of the great river. That current will carry you into places you could never reach alone and bring you to shores of blessing you could never touch by effort. Believe, my child, that no surrender in me is ever wasted. Everything you release is refined and returned in a purer, stronger, and holier form. Through this process, I am cleansing the circle around you. Certain people, places, and things that once felt close will gently fade, not because they were wrong, but because I am preparing you for new spaces that match your higher faith. Some relationships were bridges. Now they have become weights. Some connections that once helped you move now hold you still. I am loosening these ties one by one, not to cause you pain, but to make you light. For I know, if you cling too tightly, you will not rise with me when the wind of renewal begins to blow. I am training your soul in the school of my spirit, not by theories, but by real experience. Every waiting is a lesson in trust. Every loss, a lesson in recognizing what truly matters. Every silence, a lesson in listening. And every time you choose love in pain, you pass heaven's test. Do not fear if you find yourself walking roads you have walked before. You are not going in circles. You are ascending in spirals, each turn higher, each step closer to the center of my will. My child, blessing is not only in what you receive, but in who you become through receiving. I do not want you to be merely a receiver of grace. I want you to be a channel of grace. When you become a vessel, heaven's flow moves through you endlessly. And when you learn to share, the stream never runs dry. Just as the river never fears emptiness while pouring into the sea, you will never lack as long as you give. This is heaven's law. Blessing remains where generosity lives. And know this, my child, true blessing always comes with purification. No one can carry peace while keeping poison within. I am washing the old by letting you face it. When memories resurface, do not run, let light shine upon them. When buried feelings rise, do not be ashamed, let them heal. No wound is judged in my light. Every wound becomes glory. You will see that the things which once made you weep will become the very places from which you teach others about my mercy. Now look around, new connections are forming. They do not come to take, but to build. I am surrounding you with souls who carry the same frequency, those who come not for fame, but for oil. They will not draw you away from me, but nearer. They do not need you flawless, only genuine. For blessing does not bloom in crowds, but in unity. Learn to discern between those who carry my breath and those who carry only their own voice. Do not fear solitude when I separate you. It is then that you hear most clearly. Understand this, every purification comes with replacement. When I remove something, I never leave emptiness. I always fill it with something better. But to receive the new, you must trust me enough to let go. Do not grieve. Do not cling. Do not try to repair what I am dismantling. For I do not patch what is dying. I make all things new. Some things are not meant to be mended, they are meant to be replaced. And I will replace not only things, but people. Not only people, but places. Not only places, but your very way of seeing. Obedience in this season is the greatest key. When you obey, you lose nothing. You connect to the infinite flow. You are not being controlled, you are being carried. Obedience is not weakness. It is the strength of knowing to whom you belong. When you say, "Thy will be done," all of heaven moves to fulfill that word. And when you live inside that prayer, you no longer have to fight. You simply rest and move with my current. In this obedience, you will see heaven's windows open layer by layer. The first layer brings peace. The next, understanding. The next, power. and the highest presence. When you reach the level of presence, you will no longer need to ask, for everything you need is in my breath. At that place, prayer becomes harmony. It is no longer you speaking, but me resonating through you. And this, my child, is the true goal of every divine training, not to make you skilled, but to make you similar. Now, open your heart and let the waters flow. Do not resist, do not fear. Every cleansing is an act of love. Every change is a blessing in disguise. You are being led through the windows of heaven into the promised land of the Spirit, where the old no longer fits, and the new carries the breath of life. Obey with your whole heart, and you will see blessing does not come from your hands, but from a heart surrendered. For only a surrendered heart is wide enough to hold heaven. My beloved child, the season of revival is rising, and nothing can stop the fire of my Spirit once it begins to spread. Everything that was once closed is now opening. Everything that seemed dead is coming alive. Everything that faded is being anointed again. You stand in the midst of a divine movement where heaven and earth meet in the sound of promise. This is not merely a new season, it is the harvest season, where the seeds of faith you once sowed in tears are now blossoming in radiant glory. The prayers you thought fell into silence are now unfolding into vast fields of blessing. Not a single word was wasted, not a single tear forgotten, for I have kept them all in the vessel of my oil. The light of heaven is descending as a pure flame, not to destroy, but to purify. This fire does not burn forests, it burns chains. This fire does not consume, it renews. When it touches, what was weak in you becomes strong. What was weary comes alive, and what was closed begins to open wide. For the fire of my Spirit is not like the fire of men, it does not burn to end, it burns to begin. And from within that fire, you will see yourself reborn not as someone new, but as the true essence I designed you to be from the beginning of time. Faith will be your torch through the winds. For in this revival, nothing will remain steady except me. When you can no longer see the path, faith will be your map. When too many voices surround you, faith will be your song. And when you feel drained, faith will be the heartbeat that reconnects your soul to the source of life. You may not grasp the fullness of my plan, but you can hold my hand, and that is enough. For every promise of mine carries its appointed time. And now, that time has come. The heavens are drawing near, not that you must climb, but that you may touch. I do not ask you to rise higher, I stoop down to meet you in the ordinary. From your smallest task to your quietest sigh, from your whispered prayer to your silent forgiveness, I am there. When you forgive, my glory blazes. When you choose to love before being loved, oil is poured. When you rise after falling, angels rejoice. For in every small act of faith, heaven trembles with joy. This harvest will not only change what is outside you, it will transform who you are within. What was heavy will now become light. What was hidden will now shine. What was forgotten will now be called by name. I do not renew simply to display miracles. I renew so that you may become the miracle. When people look at you, they will not say, "Your life is good." They will say, "God is alive." And that is the heartbeat of revival, that my witnesses may step forth carrying the fragrance of new oil, the radiance of new fire, and the rhythm of a faith never seen before. I am anointing your generation, not with thunder, but with breath. This oil does not pour through the hands of kings, but through the hands of the humble. It does not fall on those who stand tall, but on those who kneel low. For I do not choose by appearance, I choose by heart. And those who remained faithful through the long night will now see the dawn break upon them. You endured to learn perseverance, now you will persevere to reap. You walked through the fire to know pain. Now you will carry fire to bring healing. You once lost to learn value. Now you will hold to taste glory. Do not be dismayed if the new oil flowing upon your life makes some uneasy. True oil always carries a distinct scent. It draws the thirsty and disturbs the false. But keep walking, for the oil is not given for comparison, it is given for illumination. And as you walk in the light of that oil, everything around you will ignite not by your effort, but by your presence, not by striving, but by abiding in my glory. You are stepping into a time when my word will no longer be mere sound, but substance. Everything I have promised, you will begin to see take form: peace, restoration, and the fields turning white for harvest. I have not forgotten what I spoke. I was only waiting for you to become strong enough to carry it. And now, you are ready not because you are powerful, but because you are surrendered. Not because you know much, but because you trust deeply. This is the triumph of the soul, not by conquest, but by surrender. In that surrender, you are lifted into the realm of light, where every promise breathes and every word becomes flesh. You will see fields of faith in bloom, doors of grace swing wide, and broken people being mended by love. Revival does not come with noise. It comes through the quiet of yielded hearts. And in that quiet, I work. Now let your heart overflow with hope, not a blind hope, but one rooted in my word. For my word does not change, and my covenant does not break. This harvest will not only bring fruit, it will bring witness, and you yourself will be the living testimony of power, of faithfulness, and of unfailing love from the one who still speaks today. Walk in light, carry the oil, guard the flame, and believe the eternal dawn has begun. And now, my child, sit down in the heart of stillness. No words, no striving, only presence. For in this silence, I am still at work. I have never stopped. My hands have never left. Even when you do not see it, I am weaving threads of light around your life, rejoining the fragments you thought were lost. What seemed broken is being recreated in heaven's perfect order. Revival does not rise from clamor, but from the moment you pause long enough to hear my heartbeat in your own chest. Let every tension within you fall away, little by little, like dew slipping from a petal at sunrise. I do not want you to try to believe. I want you to rest in belief. For true faith does not require force, it requires release. When you stop straining to believe enough, you begin to truly believe. When you stop trying to love enough, you begin to love rightly. All things of heaven are not achieved through effort, they flow through presence. Be here, in this moment, and know that I am with you, not far, not high, not hidden. Here, now, in your breath, in your pulse, in the light within your eyes. My child, there are seasons for running, but this one is the season of rest. Not rest to stop, but rest to be refilled. Like the soil after harvest, it must lie still to breathe again, to let its roots recover, to prepare for new seeds to sprout. So it is with you. I am letting your soul rest within my embrace to restore its life. You do not need to appear strong. True strength makes no noise. True strength stands in stillness, not because there is no battle left, but because victory is already won. You have lived through days of fierce winds, when everything within you trembled. You once asked, "Father, why must I walk through fire?" But now you begin to see the fire was never to destroy you, but to make you real. No more masks, no more roles, no more garments of fear. Only you, pure, simple, radiant enough to reflect me. It is in the burning that your soul becomes transparent. And through that transparency, my glory shines unhindered. That is why I chose you. Not because you were perfect, but because you were pure. Now, I want you to learn the art of breathing with heaven, not praying with words, but praying with breath. Each time you inhale, remember you are receiving new life. Each time you exhale, you are releasing what no longer serves you. Inhale light, exhale heaviness. Inhale peace, exhale fear. Inhale love, exhale pain. Inhale grace, exhale self-blame. That is how I cleanse you without pain. When your breath aligns with mine, you begin to live by the rhythm of heaven, not hurried, not delayed. Simply right. You have traveled far, through many valleys of shadow, and I have seen your fatigue. But you have not failed. You have passed through the night, and now dawn is breaking. Every night has an end, only morning is certain. Let my light reach the places you have kept closed. I did not come to judge, but to heal, not to recall your wrongs, but to breathe life again into what once seemed dead. Do not fear my light, for my light does not expose to shame, it exposes to heal. And once you are healed, you become a vessel of healing. You need not earn what I am giving. Grace does not arrive because of worthiness, it arrives because of love, and my love needs no reason. It does not tire. It does not fade. It does not change. When you cry, I do not turn away. When you are weak, I do not withdraw. When you are lost, I do not give up. My love is not tied to your behavior. It is bound to your being. And your being, though you forget, is still mine. No failure can erase that sacred lineage. Even if the world forgets your name, heaven remembers. Even if people walk away, I remain. Even if everything changes, my love does not. Now, let me love you until fear no longer lives in you. For fear is the shadow of love not yet received. When you let me love you completely, all fear dissolves like smoke. You will no longer fear lack, for I am your source. You will no longer fear loss, for I am your keeper. You will no longer fear wrong turns, for I am your guide. You will no longer fear the night, for I am your dawn. You need not worry about finding the way, for you no longer walk alone. I walk within you. Just take small steps, and I will handle the distance. You may not see results now, but do not measure me by speed. Measure by the quality of stillness. All great works of heaven begin in silence. Seeds do not sprout when rushed, they sprout when buried, watered, and waited for. So it is with you. What you call silence is not absence, it is gestation. Life is stirring beneath the soil, preparing to rise when I call, and when that day comes, all things will align, and every waiting will glow with meaning. You will say, now I understand Father was never late. I am teaching you to live as one who knows heaven is near, no longer praying in panic, but conversing in peace, no longer chasing miracles, but seeing miracles in small things, a steady breath, a gentle light, a passing breeze. That is how I am reviving your soul, not through thunder, but through quiet moments. When you can see me in the small, you are ready to hold the great. Let your heart return to its original form, soft, trusting, simple. That is the most beautiful shape of the soul in my eyes. Do not strive to be clever, strive to be real. For truth is wisdom's purest form. When you are honest, you allow me to touch deeply. And when I touch, all that is misaligned becomes straight. You do not need to fix yourself. You only need to open. My correction does not wound. It soothes, like a hand brushing a child's hair as they sleep gentle, yet sure. Now I place my hand upon your head, not to command, but to bless. Peace does not come when all is calm. Peace comes because I am there, and I am here. You do not need to find me on mountains or shout in temples. I am in your breath. When you are silent, I speak. When you stop, I arrive. When you release, I lift. When you trust, I move. Every moment of surrender opens a window of heaven, and through those windows flows unceasing blessing. You are the dwelling I have chosen, not a cathedral, not a mountain peak, but you, the heart that listens. When you love, I am seen. When you forgive, I am glorified. When you live sincerely, I am revealed. No grand miracle is needed, only that you stay radiant amid the dark. For true light never competes, it simply shines. And you, my child, are the proof that light still triumphs. No matter how long the night, my child, I want you to stop searching far away. For what you seek is already within you. The love you crave, the peace you pray for, the strength you long for, they all lie sleeping in the deepest chamber of your soul, waiting for my breath to awaken them. You do not need to climb higher to find me. You need only listen deeper. When you slow enough to hear your own heart, you will hear mine. When you pause long enough to feel, you will realize my presence never left. There are things you thought you must change to be loved, but I loved you before any change. My love sets no condition, demands no proof. It does not come to praise the strong, it comes to rescue the weary. And you, the one struggling to hold yourself together, you are the very one I have set my heart upon. When your breath falters, I become wind. When you weep, I become shoulder. When you grow silent, I become breath. My love is not dramatic, but enduring. It does not arrive to impress, it arrives to rebuild. Now, I am leading your soul through a quiet river. Its waters are not loud, but deep and clear. Each step you take through it washes away a layer of dust. You need not understand the past, simply let my waters flow through you. They will carry away old memories, hidden wounds, and the voices that once made you doubt your worth. When my water touches you, you no longer need to choose between past and present. You are made new in both. I know there are rooms within you you vowed never to open again, but I have not come to invade, I have come to illuminate. My light is gentle, bright enough to see, soft enough not to burn, warm enough to heal. Do not fear when I open old drawers. I do not come to remind, but to remove. When I touch the old, it loses its power. When I look upon what once shamed you, it becomes testimony. For there is no corner in you that I cannot make holy. My beloved child, you once thought that healing meant when every wound disappeared, but true restoration is when you still bear the scar, and it no longer hurts. When you can touch the memory and your heart remains calm, that is the sign you have been made whole. And when you are healed, you become the vessel through which I send healing to others. I do not need you to be strong, I only need you to have endured and not given up. Those who have survived the night carry the warmth of dawn. And you, the one who has walked through, are my sunrise in this world. Let everything within you melt into the light. Melt, not to vanish, but to blend with my flow, to move with the pulse of life. When you cease striving to control, you begin to drift in the rhythm of grace. And in that rhythm, everything finds its place, tears and laughter, failure and resurrection. Nothing is wasted in my kingdom. Everything is woven into the robe of glory you are wearing now. I am teaching you to love yourself again with heaven's eyes, not with pride, but with reverence for being formed from my breath. When you see yourself rightly, you will stop judging, stop forcing, stop comparing. You will love as I love without demand, without exchange. And from that love, you will love others without fear or effort. For only when you are healed can love through you become healing for others. My child, let me pour faith again into the dry places within you. Sometimes a single spark is enough to rekindle a fire long gone. I am that breath. When I blow, ashes rise, flame returns, heart revives. You need not ignite it, you only need to open. Fire does not come through effort, fire comes through encounter. And when you meet me in truth, that flame will never fade. There are things I am moving out of your life not because you failed, but because you have outgrown them. Just as a child cannot keep wearing the same clothes, you cannot keep old relationships, habits, or beliefs that once fit but now restrain. I do not discard, I replace, not because I love less, but because I desire you to expand, to carry more. When I take something from your hand that you thought you needed, trust that I am placing into your heart what you truly sought all along. Now, release every comparison. No one shares your path. Every soul is its own song in my vast symphony. Some sing loud, others whisper softly, but all together create the harmony of heaven. You do not need to be heard, you only need to be true. When you live in tune with your own soul's sound, the celestial music becomes complete, and that is my glory, to see each child fully themselves. And together, wholly beautiful, I want you to feel blessing, like mist on your skin, not rushing, not loud, just seeping in. At first, you will not notice it, but slowly, your heart will grow lighter, your voice gentler, your eyes brighter, not because the world outside has changed, but because the waters within have cleared. When the inside is clear, the outside reflects it like still water mirrors the sky. You no longer need to seek the light, you are the light. Believe this, nothing in you is left out of my plan. Every fragment has its place in the grand design. Even the parts you once despised have purpose. Grace does not highlight only what is lovely, it uses shadow to give depth. When you see life through my light, you will realize there are no true failures, no meaningless losses. Every path you walked was a brushstroke in the masterpiece I am painting called you. And that artwork, though unfinished in your eyes, is moving steadily toward perfection. Now rest in this truth, not to forget, but to remember who is the source, not to pause temporarily, but to live fully. For when you rest in me, you do not stop, you are reborn. My peace is not stillness frozen in place. It is a living river that flows through every crevice, waters every root, and soaks into every grain of your soul. You do not have to find the water has found you. Know this, there are seasons when I seem silent, not because I am gone, but because I am teaching you to trust through quiet. When I am silent, you learn to hear your own heart, where my whisper still breathes. When you cannot see signs, you learn to feel my presence. When you cannot read the map, you learn to walk by faith, not sight. That is how I train you to stand in wind without breaking, to walk in shadow without losing light. Now close your eyes, my child, and feel my hand upon your forehead. It is not cold, it carries the warmth of eternity. It speaks no words, yet it says peace. Every noise within you now dissolves. Every wound softens. Every burden lifts. You do not need to understand the process, only believe that everything I touch, I make new. When you open your eyes, the world may look the same, but you will not be the same. For when the soul is washed, all sight changes. You will begin to see blessing in small things, grace in waiting, love even in what once seemed barren. And then you will know true revival does not come from changing what is outside. It begins right here, in this very moment, when you finally realize you are loved, truly loved, and need do nothing more. My beloved child, now I want you to stop speaking. Just breathe. Let every breath in and out become a quiet conversation between your soul and me. No words, no sound, only rhythm. For in that rhythm, you and I become one. There is no more separation between the lover and the beloved, between heaven and earth, between the source and the stream. All that remains is pure presence, soft, clear, and still. When you dwell in this state, there is no need to ask, for your very being has become prayer. There is no need for direction, for every direction leads back to me. Imagine yourself sitting beside the river of peace water flowing gently, nothing rushing. Everything simply is. No more striving, no more achieving, no more needing to understand, only being. And in that being, you begin to learn the meaning of true freedom, not the freedom to go anywhere, but the freedom to need nowhere to feel complete. When you realize heaven is already in your breath, in your gaze, in your smallest motion, you will know that heaven is not a place, but a presence. I have always been here, not only when you pray, but also when you are silent, not only in temples, but in kitchens, on roads, in weary evenings. When you think I am distant, I am standing still, waiting for you to stop running. For when you stop seeking, you start seeing. When you stop trying to understand, you begin to feel. When you stop fearing mistakes, you become real. And in that realness, I appear. Let your heart become a temple of breath. No rituals, no incense, only softness. Soft enough for light to pass through. Soft enough for love to be poured in. Soft enough for forgiveness to bloom. When your heart is soft, I can rewrite your story with the ink of peace. No pen needed, only light. And when I write with light, that story cannot be erased. You may think you are only a drop in the vast ocean of the world, but to me, you are the reflection of that entire ocean. No drop is nameless, no wave without purpose. Every breath, every beat, every day you live is a note in the song of eternity. Do not fear being small. Light does not need to be large to shine, it only needs to be true. And when you are true, my light through you is enough to illuminate a darkened world. I do not need you perfect, I need you present. You may be weak, tired, or unsure, but as long as you do not flee from me, I will turn your weakness into wells of love. My love does not flow through the cracks of strength, but through the fractures of tenderness. It is through what you think is broken that my glory flows most freely. For grace always chooses the cracks as its doorway. Let your tears fall if they need to fall. Do not hold them back. Tears are the language of the soul when words are too small. Each drop that falls is a prayer sent upward. And my angels do not let one fall to the ground unnoticed. They gather them in golden bowls and pour them back as oil of healing for others. When you weep today, you do not weep only for yourself. You weep for the hearts that have forgotten how to weep. And I use those tears to soften the earth of the world. When you sit quietly and listen, you will feel a gentle warmth move from your heart through your body. That is not your imagination, it is truth. I am flowing through you, not as energy, but as life, not to give you power, but to give you love. When you realize this, You will stop dividing the sacred from the ordinary. For wherever I am present is holy, and I am everywhere. Do not fear emotion. Emotion is not sin. It is the rhythm of my heart beating within yours. When you are sad, I am not disappointed. I grieve with you. When you rejoice, I smile through you. When you are angry, I stand and wait for your calm. I do not leave. For I am not only the creator, I am the companion. And to be with does not mean to stand beside, it means to dwell within. I do not follow you, I am you. My breath is your breath. My rhythm is your rhythm. Now, imagine a soft breeze brushing across your hair, not strong, not cold, just enough to move a single strand. That is me. You do not need to see, only to feel. When you feel, you have already found me. I do not need thunder to prove my presence, only a touch light enough to open your soul. And when your soul opens, I pour in not like a wave, but like fragrance gentle, yet unstoppable. Let my love soak into you as dew into the soil. You do not need to understand this love. Understanding does not make it truer. Just let it flow. Let it soften the places you've locked, the memories you've buried, the people you've avoided remembering. When my love touches, the old cannot stand. It does not need to be driven away, it simply dissolves. For no shadow can remain before light. I know you have often asked, Father, am I enough? And my answer, beloved, is that you have always been enough, not because of what you do, but because you are mine. I do not wait for you to be good to love you. I love you so that you can be good. I do not wait for you to be right to come near. I come near so you can be made right. I do not wait for you to be whole to dwell. I dwell so that you may be healed. My love does not follow your actions. It precedes them and gives them life. Now, I want you to sit in that truth for a while. Do nothing, not to analyze, but to feel. To know that every breath you take is proof that I still hold you. To remember that as long as you exist, I have not stopped hoping. And when you know this, you will stop striving to be loved and begin to live as one already loved. When you live from love, nothing is small. Nothing is wasted. Every act becomes a hymn. Every step becomes a prayer. Every person you touch receives blessing without words. That is how I move through the world through my children, who do not strive to shine, but simply live true. For light never knows it shines. It simply is, and darkness, quietly, disappears. My beloved child, you may rest without fear of falling behind. Rest without fear of losing anything. For your life does not depend on running, it depends on abiding. Abide in me, that is the only place you can never lack. And when you abide, I do the rest. Everything I have promised will come to pass. Not because you strive, but because you stay. Stay in me as the branch in the vine, as the seed in the soil, as the breath within the lungs. And when you dwell there, you will see you no longer need to ask for fire, for the fire already burns within. Let this word close in peace. Nothing can separate you from my love. Not the night, not another, not sin, not time. Everything else will fade, but this love remains. And when the world grows loud, remember there is a breath waiting for you to return. My breath, still gentle, still radiant, still loving as at the beginning. My child, do not try to understand me with the mind. Let your heart listen. Some things cannot be explained by words, they can only be received by breath. Like the sound of wind through leaves, like light touching water, like that warmth in your chest when you know you are seen without being judged. That is how I speak. not through sentences, not through logic, but through presence. Each time you are still, you hear. Each time you rest, you see. And with every breath, I whisper again, I am here. Let everything heavy within you drift away like mist dissolving in dawn. Do not hold on. You do not need to keep the past to remember it is safe with me. You do not need to hold people to love them, for I will love through you. You do not need to keep fear to stay safe, for I am your shelter. When you release, you do not lose, you open. And when you open, only what truly belongs to you can enter. Love does not compete, it only needs space. And I am enlarging the space within your heart so love can dwell completely. You do not need to become better, you only need to become truer. For truth is the shape of holiness. When you are true, my light reflects perfectly, untainted by fear, undistorted by shame. Look into your own eyes, even if only in your imagination, and see that I am looking back. That gaze does not judge, does not demand, does not ask, only loves. When you see me in your own reflection, you will understand I was never far. I never left. I was only waiting for you to stop running from yourself. There will be days when your heart feels unusually still. Do not rush to fix it. Do not hurry to do right. Do not fear the silence, for in that silence I am planting. When your soul grows quiet, the soil of your heart softens, and I can place new seeds within it. Those seeds need no watering from you. My breath is enough. My light is enough. And when the time is right, you will see what I have planted bloom, not with noise or display, but simply, quietly. Like dawn, arriving unannounced. You do not need to prove your faith. The fact that you still stand, still breathe, still believe I hear you, that is proof enough. True faith does not need to be loud. It only needs to endure. Endure in the small, in the still, in the waiting, and that endurance is the fragrance I love most, not the scent of the strong, but of the faithful. When you keep believing even when you see nothing, all of heaven rejoices. I know there are times you feel caught between two worlds, one part of you tied to earth, the other longing for heaven. You feel the pull of both, unsure where you belong, too light to stay grounded, too human to fully soar. Do not fear that tension. It is the sign that you are being lifted. Every soul that ascends feels light enough to be unsure. Let that lightness carry you. You do not need to control the flight. You only need to open your wings. When I look at you, I do not see flaws. I see light growing brighter through every choice you make to love instead of resent, to forgive instead of remember, to rest instead of fear. Each of those choices brings heaven closer to earth. You do not need to do grand things to please me. You only need to be true in small things. The world is not changed by loud echoes, but by quiet souls who keep their light burning in the dark. Now, my child, I want you to lean back within your soul, not to escape, but to trust that you are held. There is a gentle strength lifting you, even when you do not feel it. It does not seize you with thunder. It supports you like a father's hand under a sleeping child. When you have no strength, I am strength. When you have no words, I am word. When you have no direction, I am light. And when you have nothing left, I am all. Picture a wide field washed in white under morning light. Every droplet of dew gleams not because it shines by itself, but because the light has touched it. You are the same. You do not need to shine on your own, just let me touch you. When my light comes, you reflect, and in that reflection, the world sees my radiance. That is why I never ask you to be perfect, I ask you to be clear. For light cannot pass through what is opaque, but it can flow freely through what is pure. Do not fear your transformation. Do not mourn who you were. Do not cling to what once felt familiar. Change is the proof that you are alive, the evidence that I am still working in you. Sometimes I remove good things not because they are bad, but because I am leading you toward better. Like the wind blowing away withered blossoms so the fruit can ripen, I am clearing space for your new season to bloom. Let me do it. Let me renew. Do not resist, my beloved child. When you sit in peace, know that this peace is not born of circumstance, it is born of me. Peace is not something I give, peace is what I am. When you rest in peace, you rest in me. And when you are in me, nothing can take that away. No person, no fear, no storm. My peace is not shaken by bad news, not lost in loss, not confined by time. It is an unbroken current, and you are within its flow. If you listen closely now, you will hear my voice, not loud, not thunderous, but a whisper. You are not alone. That is enough for today. You need no plan, no distant promise, only this truth: you are held in my hand. When you walk, that hand is beside you. When you pause, it does not leave. When you stumble, it lifts. And when you fear, it holds tighter. You can trust this, that hand does not know how to let go. I want you to live as one who is loved, not as one still striving to be loved. When you live this way, everything around you changes. Your voice changes, no longer trembling. Your gaze changes, no longer afraid. The way you love changes, no longer demanding response. And the way you walk changes because you know you are not lost. That is the greatest miracle, a soul at rest in a restless world. You do not need to do much. You need only to be. Your presence itself is proof that I am still working upon this earth. When I look down, I do not see the crowd. I see you, small, but sincere, fragile, but faithful, quiet, yet radiant. And I say, this is my child, in whom I delight, not because of great deeds, but because you have allowed me to love you without condition. That, my child, makes heaven smile. Let the final breath of the day merge with the first breath of mine. When you close your eyes, I keep watch. When you sleep, I hold. When you dream, I speak. And when dawn comes, I am still there, calling you awake through light, guiding you through peace, drawing you home through love. There is not a single day I do not think of you, not a single moment I do not guard you, not a single breath I am not near. And if there is one truth I long for you to carry, it is this: you are living evidence of unfailing love. You are not only loved, you are proof that love exists. When you live, the world knows heaven still breathes. When you forgive, the world learns that grace is still real. When you walk in calm, the world remembers peace has not vanished. You do not have to represent me. You simply reveal me by being. Be still. Remain. Know that I am here, not arriving, not departing, simply here. And when you dwell in that knowing, you touch the core of life itself, the place where storms cease, pain softens, seeking ends, and only love remains. My child, let the evening of your soul grow quiet. Do not force. Do not strain. Let everything settle, like a lake after wind. For when your heart becomes still, you will begin to hear the true sound of heaven, not as noise, but as feeling. A softness spreading, a warmth unfolding, a silence reaching deeper than thought. That is where I dwell, not above, not afar, not outside, but within that sacred hush. There, I watch you, not with eyes, but with presence. You need not speak. I have already heard. You need not explain. I have already understood. Simply be here with me, and let everything else fall from your shoulders. The world will still turn. You will still have to walk. But you will no longer walk alone. For in your smallest motion, my breath moves too. I am the wind at your back when you go, the light before you when you look, the peace within you when you sit. When you speak, I flow through your words. When you are silent, I echo in the stillness. Everything about you, your breath, your gaze, your step, your touch has become part of me. And that, beloved, is the deepest revival, not when you perform a miracle, but when you become one. I do not need your perfection to show my glory. My glory is not found in the polished surface of performance. It dwells in the soul that dares to love purely in a rough world. When you forgive, my light shines. When you weep yet still believe, my light spreads. When you keep your heart gentle amid chaos, my light guides. You are my lamp upon the earth, and though the lamp may be small, it is enough to make darkness lose its claim. Believe that every small act of love carries eternal weight. A soft word, a kind gesture, a single moment of patience. These small things shift the very air of the world. For light is not merely above, it travels through your hands, through your breath, through your presence. You are the vessel of heaven. Even when you are not trying, when you cleanse your heart of bitterness, my flow meets no resistance. And when it flows through you, it carries healing, blessing, and life. You need not strive, only stay unblocked. My child, I know there are days when you feel small beneath the vastness, like a speck of dust in the endless universe. But remember this, that speck carries my light. When sunlight touches it, even dust glows. You do not need to be large to have value. You only need to be true. Truth is enough for me to multiply. A single breath of faith from you can open the skies. A quiet prayer of peace from you can still the winds. One faithful soul can hold a generation from breaking. That is the power of presence rooted in love. I want you to learn to see everything through the lens of eternity. When you look from that place, you will realize no moment is wasted. No path is pointless. No encounter is random. Everything is being woven into my tapestry. There are bright threads, dark threads, tangled threads, but from above. The pattern is perfect. You do not need to understand while you stand beneath it. Simply trust that from where I sit, all is becoming beautiful. My child, let your heart become a place where I may rest. Do not let it be filled with fear, with schemes, with striving. Cleanse it with forgiveness, with trust, with breath. When your heart is clean, I can dwell within it. And when I rest in you, you will rest in me. When the peace of two hearts becomes one, the world can no longer touch you. People may be noisy, but you will remain calm. People may change, but you will stay firm. For your peace does not come from them, it comes from me. Learn to live slowly, not slow in the outer sense, but slow within. Every restless soul is one that has run ahead of its own breath. Let yours slow down. Each inhale says, I am with you. Each exhale says, you are in me. When you live in that rhythm, you will see there is no need to strive to become, for you already are. No need to fight to hold, for you are already held. No need to force yourself to shine, for light has already chosen you as its home. Now I am anointing you with a new oil, not to make you shine brighter than others, but to keep you from running dry along the way. This oil is my unceasing presence. It will help you pass through dryness without withering, through night without fading, through trial without breaking. It will make you one who carries fire without being burned. When you speak, your words will carry fragrance. When you touch, your hands will heal. When you are present, the air will grow still, for the oil is not only upon you, it is within you. And I want you to remember this: nothing you are living now is random. You are within heaven's design, a plan not only for you, but through you, for many. There will be souls who meet me only once through your eyes. There will be hearts who believe I am real only when they touch yours. So do not shrink. Do not fear. Do not hide your light because you think it is not bright enough. True light does not need to be strong. It only needs to be true. And you are true. Now I close my eyes with you in this silence. No more words. Only rhythm. No more distance. Only union. No more you and me, only us. In that space, all that once hurt becomes gentle. All that once weighed heavy becomes light. All that once felt far becomes near. For in love, there is no far. If you can, place your hand upon your heart. Feel that rhythm. It is not just your beat, it is mine within you. That rhythm is a covenant without ink, without signature, without vow. It is a living promise, I and you, undivided, unchanging, unending. While that rhythm continues, everything else is temporary. And when that rhythm stops, you do not end, you simply cross from this realm into my embrace, where there is no time, no fear, only light and love. And I tell you this, that you may etch it deep into your soul: there is no loss in me. Everything I take, I return in another form, deeper, stronger, truer. Every drop that falls returns to the sea. Every grain of dust finds its way back to the earth. And every soul that loves finds its way back to me. There is no ending, only returning, no separation, only transformation, no death, only becoming. Be still. My child, know that you have been chosen, loved, kept, and sent not to strive, not to prove, but simply to be. Every day you live in stillness is a miracle. Every breath you take in faith is a song. Every gaze you give in love is a thread of light connecting heaven and earth. Now rest in the final breath of the day, where peace settles, where the flame burns softly, where the oil still gives its fragrance. Do not worry for tomorrow, for I am already there. Do not mourn yesterday, for it has been washed clean. Simply dwell in today, where you and I meet, where heaven and earth embrace, where eternity is breathing. And I whisper gently, as softly as the wind through the night, I love you, not because, not for, not through, but simply because I am. And because I am, you are forever mine. Now, my child, sit still a little longer. Do nothing. Think nothing. Just let your breath return to the rhythm of heaven. Everything I wish to say, I have whispered. Everything you need to know, your heart has already heard, not with ears, but with the quiet trembling of the soul's depth. There, I am still speaking. There, I am still living. There, you and I are no longer two, but one, my child. Go now in peace, not the peace of circumstances, but the peace from within, where I dwell. Do not fear tomorrow, for I already live within it. Do not grieve yesterday, for I have used it to teach you. Simply live fully in today, where your exhale is the very breath I breathe into you. You do not need to do anything more to be loved. You only need to let me love you completely. Remember this every time you choose stillness over haste, faith over fear, love over doubt. Heaven draws nearer. And though this world is not yet perfect, it is being renewed through each small soul that abides in light. When you rise from this moment, do not leave me behind. For I am not only in the sacred hour, I am in every ordinary heartbeat. And when you live, love, breathe, and simply be, that is when I am seen, I am glorified, and I am loved through you. Your dawn has come. Walk now in light, in oil, in love, and in me. May the word of the Lord continually remind you to live in His faith and love each day. Remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss the sacred and meaningful messages God longs to share with you. May His blessings be upon you always. Amen.